the water conference you started is the reason we got involved in India initiatives through with Global Waterworks. And I just want to point out to everyone in India, what you have in India is so unique because you venerate water. You truly appreciate it. And we can have solutions here in the United States that we work to advance, but people do not see the same priority. And so it's really a pleasure to work with the Indian culture and to know that also your government, I've listed a number of things that are going on here to support the restoration of lakes, you know, the access to rainwater. In some places in the United States and elsewhere around the globe, you're not allowed to capture and reuse the water that falls from the sky. So it is truly unique, and just a pleasure to see what Hari has put together too with the RainReach program, building on the World Water Action Forum. And you mentioned students, Raj, so I understand we have a number of teachers and students in the program today and look forward to hearing from them. But it's beautiful that they can also learn about the renewable water cycle and the aspect that you mentioned, the fresh water falling from the sky through God's natural filtration. And what is beautiful is that the RainReach program is up on the Alltech Foundation website. You can find it just by searching Alltech Foundation and clicking on RainReach. And Hari, who is the brainchild or the brain trust for this, is going to share with us the process by which this is happening. And Hari, you can just tell me when to advance the slides from here on. So I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. Thank you, Raj, so much. And thanks, Frank. And of course, Greg, for being here at 5 a.m. You know, it's not easy to be in the, you know, on the Western sector and be able to take things in Asia. I must first thank all those wonderful kids. We have quite a few of them from the schools in which we are working. Nimigella namaskara. Maklalla idarante gottide nanage. ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಡ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮೇಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ see this the idea is not to go and install some sets of dead equipment. That is not what RainReach is about. It is essential, of course, to have those wonderful things called the rain gauge that you see in this picture, or you know, to see that we do some rainwater harvesting, as well as put some meters that can measure with some real-time data that can then be seen by the kids, and you know, we get them to see that they think about it, they talk about it. In early November, we have had a sparse monsoon this year. We had some rain, and then the next afternoon, we check with the kids as to how much they got as rain. We asked them how much as square feet they have on their rooftops, tried to see if they could make the connect between the area and the quantum of water they were harvesting. Mahesh and a few others are constantly working to see that we have these contact sessions with the teachers, with the students. We are hoping that some of the students, Mary and I were talking about it, and we said to ourselves, we must see that the kids who are the star of today's show, as a matter of fact, will speak, you know, and let's see how that happens. Raj, I'm so glad to hear that in Western Kenya, they started a RainReach sort of a program. Liz was very impressed, mightily, you know, impacted by what she saw in the school that she visited. She spent some 2 or 2.5 hours with the team. Well, what else can I say? This is a story not about the hardware. This is a story about the software. There are contractors, there are people, even the government in its well-meaning ways offers schemes and funds for setting up such rainwater harvest systems, but it's disconnected from the people who occupy these buildings. And so we said to ourselves that we'll try and see first how we will get the kids themselves to benefit from the quantum of water that they either save or they find as alternate low carbon water. Low carbon water is not something they understand. And then for them to make that connect between water, energy, and carbon is impossible. But as Raj said, kids have decided at some point, in fact, I heard one of the kids say this, you know, uncannily, that they cannot depend anymore on elders to serve or save their futures, right? Raj, you are absolutely right about that. and how do we build, therefore, resilience in them? How do we make this second nature to them, that in 5 or 8 years, they are not going to have some long distance water hauled from some river, that they're going to be taking water right there from their buildings, that they're going to get to the next step of using used water as water that they drink. Remember, Mary, what you said a year and a half ago, that used water is the next oil, right? And this is something that the kids will do eventually, I suppose. It's an enormously slow and organic process. What more can I add here? WOW, of course, has been partnering this with GW. How soon can it be done? We are now doing 10 schools. We are telling ourselves we can do 1 school each week. There is Vijay Kanda somewhere. He's been driving the execution parts. He's got 2-3 teams trying to see what he can do with them in order to make this happen. The math is reasonably clear. If I have got, let us say, 1,000 square feet or 100 square meters, at 1 meter of rainfall in Bangalore, we get approximately 100,000 liters. 100 square meters, 1 meter of rainfall, 100,000 liters, right? As a matter of fact, we receive a little more than 1 meter. We receive about 1.2 to 1.3 meters. So we sort of discount for some of the losses that could happen. But it's not just that. It's about how do they learn to measure rainfall? How do they learn to see that they then eventually got to know how much is harvested with those digital meters and such? The next is to see how this real-time data is put into some kind of a WhatsApp channel. We're working on it. We are hoping to do this before the end of December, where all the headmasters and a few teachers in the schools, plus some of the students who have phones of this kind, where kids can't afford, telephones of this kind, smartphones of this kind. Therefore, we're trying to see if the teachers can get into this group, even teachers from other schools where they have not yet adopted RainReach. The idea is that they will then be inspired to emulate what these schools have done. And we've identified about 24 or 25 schools of that 50. We are trying to see how we can initiate that. We're gearing up for that. From first week, we should be getting into that one, maybe. The next one, please, if you, yeah. Well, the idea is not to do anything more than set some powerful demonstrated examples of these things. And if we can get the schools to become completely independent of the grid, which is not easy, as many of you as experts here know, we will then be able to get to that. Now, what is interesting is this, and some of you out from the United States will want to know this, that at a capital cost, a one-time cost, it's not even 1.5 cents to 1,000 liters, right? 1,000 liters of water as a capex, we need to spend only 1.5 cents. I can translate that into other numbers. If you do want to ask, I will be happy to explain that. The other is that if we maintain those water assets, they can be there forever. I would like to think at least for the next 10 years, but I put 20 years here. Mary and I think, put 20 years, whatever we did. The point is that once you set this up, with a bit of maintenance, this will go. The next question would be, what are the logistics of doing it? And there is a last slide that will explain that. Mary, anything else after this? Yeah. Well, none of those, even teachers have asked me, excuse me, any of your teachers there, if you don't misunderstand me for saying this, there's one teacher from a school somewhere here who very innocently said, sir, why are you saying we can't have borewells? People tell me that borewells have some good minerals and they are healthy for drinking. Now, I didn't know how to explain to her, and at that moment, I was very stunned by such a question and observation. But the point is that the level of ignorance in these areas is phenomenal. We need to break it one step at a time. We're doing that with a few things that this program offers for these schools. Yeah.
Hari, one point where in
Yes.
Kenya, the way we got involved was they had a bore well, which was producing a lot of turbid water, and they had some E. coli get into it due to some other wastewater that was not properly disposed. And the kids were getting cholera and getting sick. First time they called us was, our bore well is getting our kids sick in the school. What do we do? So we tested the quality of water, found the high turbidity and some E. coli there. So we said, just put a filtration system, a simple chlorination system, That's how we got involved.
Right.
And as soon as we install that, the kids are full of energy and healthy. They say,
Absolutely.
oh, okay, this bore well is not clean water for us unless we do something to process it. But rainwater harvesting doesn't need that kind of processing with a chlorination and
But
filtration system.
it doesn't need those, Raj. But the challenge with rainwater is typically at these altitudes, as in Bangalore, we are a kilometer above the sea level.
Yeah.
Dr. Raval is here; he knows better. What happens is the water is acidic. It'll be if I did a test on it, I'll find it to be about 5.5 to 5.7, under 6 as pH goes. So how do I bring it to 7 plus is the challenge that we have. And therefore we have these basic filtration systems to remineralize the water.